Happy Friday.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Bring on the weekend.
I was ready, man. I had
Me
just
too.
an exhausting week.
Me too. So normally we do some banter and then intro, et cetera, et cetera. But we know what we're doing. Let's just intro and just dive in.
That's right.
Something I just thought of is normally I try to have one chart saved before we do this, like some lost porn, if you will, right? That people are like, hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Love
I don't,
seeing them losers.
yeah, I mean, I have some losers, right? But I don't have I didn't have a bad trade per se this week, which is good. I just don't have any of that to show.
Look, man, we all get it. You're perfect. We see what you're trying to say.
Time. Okay. Well, I don't have any lost porn per se, but I do. I was gonna start with like an ugly chart, that the Twitter bros are gonna scoff at.
Hey, I've got
Um,
I've got a loss that doesn't look that bad, but I lost a lot of money on it.
well, this one's a break-even trade technically, but it just, um, for Twitter standards, which I can give a shit about, it's not good, though.
Well, let's see that thing. I mean,
What up? What up? You didn't miss anything.
no,
We're just
definitely not.
So this is the one that people are gonna scoff at, right? I don't remember what day this was, to be honest with you. I cut it off. But you and I talked a lot. Um, we talk in our room a lot. We talk a lot. Like, I was busy this week. Like, we got the big freeze coming this weekend here, so I was trying to get a bunch of stuff done outside. So I wasn't at the screens as much this week as normal. So I was setting some like this. I took this trade, I put a range order in, and then I walked away. And I got in right about $4, 405, somewhere in that ballpark. And I risked literally, and people are gonna be like, yeah, right, but I risked 455. And it didn't hit my stop, but obviously it also didn't hit my target, which was like 320, 330. It just did. So it didn't work out. And then I got out after hours. When I came back, I came back to the screens here and saw it fading, and I thought it might go into after hours and just fade hard. But it didn't.
We
But
can dream, right?
yeah, like, so I just cut it. I was done. But people probably are like, ugh, that's gross. A lot of guys use tight stops and whatever. But if I'm gonna range something, I just position size accordingly, set my range, and just leave. And if I'm setting a range, especially for something like this, I don't know. That was my number, 455. I'm not gonna set it at 450. I just don't ever do that. I don't ever set it at whole and half dollars. That's just me. I feel like that's a recipe for disaster.
I gotta set it at like 457.
Yeah, I do an obscure number, and I think I did. I think technically I
I
did
can't even do
456.
55. It's got to be like
I
if
don't
it's
blame
not
you.
50, if it's not 57, it's 56. Like,
So this
just
wasn't a well. This was a actually. This may have been easy to borrow. I don't even remember anymore. I can barely remember yesterday.
I didn't trade that one. That was, I mean, hey, that was a cool little like stair step pattern though.
It was, and break even minus locates. If it wasn't easy to borrow, but that's kind of like my. I mean, it ain't pretty. It ain't ugly, but it ain't pretty. But anyway, um, start on that note.
Well, hey, I got one for you. From today, so it's fresh on everybody's minds.
Ooh, I got a couple screenshots of that one as well.
Yeah. So I know what we were talking about looked good as far as the level, but the way this thing opened, the big burst of the big burst of volume right off open, and it looked like it was like, exhaustion, as Nate would say, or like it looked like that was it to me, like it was about to fizzle out.
This chart won't do this justice because your last ad. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
It always saves my picture twice. Does it look clear?
yeah, it looks good on my end.
Okay.
But your last ad looks like it was on that wonky candle where it fake halted down and then ripped and halted up. That was nasty.
Dude, so like right here, I'm up pretty damn good. I was like, damn, I'm up that much money that quick. Super
It
happy.
fake halted down hard.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was.
I did too. It sat there for a minute.
I thought it was about to halt down because like we always talked about, what pay attention to your, the halt bands on your level 2 if you've got it, and the way that time and sales looks when it's about to halt, when it's all the same number and it's all green or whatever, when it's about to halt down, or all red when it's about to halt up. Well, it did that, but like then it kind of popped a little bit. But as you can see, it popped up on relatively low volume compared to, like, it made that move on smaller volume. You know what I mean? That first candle was the biggest volume candle.
Yep. And somebody asked about that in the room too, and I was like, it's kind of, I don't know who asked about it, but I was like, it's because they asked about, is that secondary rip bad even though the volume was lower? And I was like, well, that's where the halt makes it tricky, because the volume just stops. But this was dirty, man.
Oh, dude, this was so dirty. This wound up I wound up losing more than what I was planning on with this, because it wasn't a max loss, but the amount I lost compared to how much I was up right here, because I thought this was going to be a home run. So I added in here, like right at the VWAP. I was like, oh man, I got to add a little bit. This is about to be a damn home run. Well, no, sir. I was lucky to get out right at the top of that halt band, and I did I got my whole order out there. Luckily, I was trying to do the math on it. I still don't think it would have maxed me at the top, but I would have stopped out, and it would have been a big one. But
well, we got to talk about that today in the room too. Some of my bigger losses come from getting stuck in a halt, and then when it unhalts, it instantly rips again to the point where you can't get out.
Yeah, and that was what I was worried about. Like, yeah, okay, you said, let's see here. How much volume is too much for a short? It's a certain. Well, there's a lot of discretion on that. I mean, if I'm shorting a gapper, something like this, I want all the volume to happen right then at the open. Wouldn't you say, Craig?
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, it's kind of an arbitrary number in a sense. Like, it's all relative, so there's no magic number where I'm like, okay, if it does X amount of volume, that's a no short. I think it's all relative, especially when you look at things like the daily, the hourly, and look at prior gap days or prior big volume days. I mean, you can do volume forecasting models. There's a lot that goes into that. So there's no magic number, unfortunately. Now, one thing we did say today in the room is that, if I remember right, this was today's biggest volume day on this ticker. I don't think there had been another day. The day we were referencing, and I'm going to show it on my trade, the day we were referencing on this had a fair amount of volume, but this trumped it. And when that happens, I think a lot of those levels we're looking at aren't as strong, or even maybe invalidated. So I know you took a loss on it. I won on it, but both of us, I think, had the same mentality. Like, we were going to try one time, and that was it, because the daily didn't offer much in the way of resistance, or the hourly, whatever. So it was kind of like we were thinking like one shot and that's it.
Yeah, and
Either it worked or it didn't.
that's kind of what it was with me too. And it was a thing of like, I I had an idea, and really it would have worked better if I would have held for like a dollar. If I was really thinking more like $1.40, $1.50, but with the way it acted at open, it looked like it just all the volume had already happened. So I was like, okay, I was thinking it's well,
So from, I mean, I can answer how I do back testing for volume or whatever. Oh, there's your trade the pool one.
yeah, and
The red line's your entry, right?
Yeah, and I accidentally got disconnected. I mean, I didn't even do it. It just disconnected me for a second, and right when it did, it got rid of my entry. But I took like I don't know why I cut the thing out. I'm totally cool with showing how much I made on this. It was like $700. You can't oversize. You can take like 3,000 shares or whatever on that. You can't oversize on these accounts, or you will.
You'll
I
get
can't
stopped out real quick if you oversize.
Yeah, like if I'm taking, if I'm taking whatever size I take on my regular account, I have to, cut it way down for this, even if it's like a $1 ticker. If I might have taken like 8,000 shares or whatever on my other account, I've got a size less for these, and so that's kind of what I've come to realize.
Yep, same. So as far as so I track, on my back testing. I mean, I look at I look at it separately, like back testing, and I also track data. I've said this before to people. I know it maybe is confusing, but I to me they're separate, right? Like my back testing and my data collection or journaling are separate. But anyway,
Yeah.
for me, yes, I track volume, but I also track relative volume, and that's what I was saying not too long ago when we were looking at the chart. Like it's all kind of arbitrary or relative to previous days or daily levels or hourly levels or whatever. So all the volume I look at on my data tracking, I do use what's called relative volume, and that helps make the number a little more usable, at least for me, because you can actually track relative volume. But anyway, I'm gonna show my PRZO.
Much better than mine.
I mean, I told somebody earlier, I was like, sometimes you just get lucky. I love the relative volume script, 100%. I love it. For day one gappers, I don't think it's awesome, because if it's got a whole lot of nothing for just weeks or months on end, and then you're running relative volume to the last couple days, it's going to be astronomically high, obviously. But there's still ways I try to use that for certain percent phase from relative volume within the opening hour and all. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I love relative volume. PRZO. I have another chart that's going to show my reason why I took it, where I took it. But ultimately, I multi-day runners, yeah, the day twos, definitely. And I'm not saying it's completely invalidated on day ones, but on day ones, I use it differently. On day ones, I'm looking at the percent change on the relative volume at certain times of day. So I use it differently in all the different setups. I know that's probably makes zero sense. I don't know how to explain that. Like day one gappers, your relative volume is going to be through the roof because it's had no volume for who knows how long. And then all of a sudden it gaps up huge. So your relative volume is going to be absolutely through the roof. And at that point, I'm not looking at so much the relative volume raw number, but I'm looking at the percent change from open, 30 minutes after open, an hour after open, and I want to see that relative volume percent change decrease. If that makes sense. It's a piece of confluence, as we say. But yes, multi-day runners, day twos. Then I'll actually use the relative volume raw number, not so much the percent change. But anyway. So we talked about this in the room this morning, either Write It Open or pre-market. And we had mentioned, the 140 area looked pretty good. I was fortunate that I feel bad because sellers took a loss on it and I didn't. But sometimes it's how it is. We don't always trade the same shit.
I mean, yeah, I was in the room. I was like, I'm shorting this now. I was like, I'm in PRZO short.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You took your shot, and to be honest, I thought you nailed it, especially on that fake haul down. I was like, oh, you crushed it.
Oh, dude, I was thinking, oh, hell yeah. And I told you, I'm trading futures during the day too.
And I'm thinking I missed the move.
Yeah, and dude, it looked like, it was like little lower highs, big volume, little lower highs. I'm like, this is about to fade. I was thinking maybe one little fake breakout, and then it just does that huge slam. And I was like, oh man, I was like, this is it. And then I saw that low volume little pop back up to VWAP. I was like, I'm gonna add in more. I'm gonna oversize on this. Bad idea. But that's the whole thing is everybody's add to winners. You gotta, if you can add to a winner, and I'm just like, fuck that shit. No offense. I
don't think you're wrong. But this was that move was dirty. That move was dirty.
Yeah, and then everybody knows this in our chat. I just went ahead and went silent in the main trading room for the rest of the day because I wasn't going to trade any other stuff I was going to trade futures for the rest of the day. That's usually what I do. I'm not so worried about if I make or lose money on them. I can have fun with them. But my real account, I got to be careful with. I'm living off some of that money. So,
but we talked about 140 in the room. I'll show why. You can't really tell in this because this is a 1 minute. I trade off the 2 minute. I just shared the charts on the 1 minute, but them candles up at the top were pretty wild. But anyway, I got in at 140 and then I covered at multiple spots, and I was trying to pay myself. And part of the reason I waited for 140 also is because this was the only gap of the day above 20% that was above $1.
Yeah, and I think it came close to 100% where you got in.
Yeah, so I if it's the only gap of the day, I prefer more of an outlier move. So fortunately, I waited. There's been plenty of times I haven't waited. Whatever, I waited this time. And I just kind of partialed myself out. And then after this little cover here, I put a trail on. And, I got taken out. Which, whatever. It is what it is. It was lotto size on the trail.
It popped up to $1.20 later and then ripped in after hours.
I was going to say, I think now it's making new high. I haven't looked since this started. But after hours, it was at $1.50, 60. It was on up there.
I'm not upset with how I traded it, man. I'm usually pretty patient with stuff, but that looked like a good spot, and I was thinking I was about to be like, guys, I made it, and then
I thought I missed the move during that. I'm like, damn, there it goes, halting down.
It looked like what I wanted to see, but it didn't work, so.
Right. So I know everybody's gonna be like, oh, you drew the yellow line after your entry, yada, yada. We did talk about this, I think either pre-market or Write It Open, talk about the $1.40, that's where it looked a little heavier. Pretty simple, right? The whole thesis is this. This is it. This was the last big pop day, right? So with some decent volume, and this is ultimately why I said I like that level. There was nothing really on this chart that got me excited until this, especially when it's the only gap for the day. So I just fortunately was patient and waited. But also I did say too that this little volume day is minimal compared to what it did today.
Yep. And
So
that's a big thing for me in your style.
yeah, so like when that happens, I don't have as much faith in this, which is why I said I was gonna take this trade. I was risking like 15 cents or something on my position, like as far as I don't know, 15, 20 cents, whatever, something like that. Kept it pretty tight. And it was either gonna work or it wasn't. If I'd have stopped out, I wasn't gonna mess with it again because it just you know, we talk about this a lot and we joke about this a lot, but I also don't think it's a joke. It's just the way it is. But like this was an Israeli ticker. China tickers and Israeli tickers, like we'll short them. I'm not afraid to short them.
Me neither.
But you got to be careful. They are very erratic, and we've seen some wild ass moves on these, either to the upside or down. So I'm willing to take a shot on them, but I'm also not going to overstay my welcome or keep trying time and time and time and time again.
I'm not gonna have my broker block them though.
I'm not gonna do that either. I don't like volume profile on Thinkorswim. I've seen some guys though have the volume profile on Thinkorswim, and they're able to edit their settings to where it looks more like this. I don't know how they've done it because I've never messed with it, but this is the default volume profile in DOS. So I think I maybe turned it a little more transparent, but I think that was about it.
I turned mine pretty transparent, but I've got it just about like this on the charts that I actually trade on, not the ones that I share. I share like just a clean chart.
But this is why we use I think we both have a screen because in DOS you can have multiple tabs. And I think both of us have a tab in DOS or somewhere. I have one in DOS and Thinkorswim that shows the same chart on one tab, but in multiple time frames. So it shows multiple time frames with volume profile, so we can see hourly, we can see daily, we can see 15-day, we can see current day, like all just boom on one screen.
Dude, I got like 10 tabs down there on mine. I have like just one for daily charts, just one for indexes. I have just one for that I used to trade for like larger cap stocks when I used to trade Square and stuff for Charles, or like if I'm trading, how me and him trade the after hours earnings plays. I'll have them on there, and then I've got one just labeled trade. I've got like both of my level 2, and it's like for small caps, both of the time and sales, the level 2. It's got indicators and stuff galore all over the charts. I've got a tab called Twitter charts. That's just the charts that I post to Twitter, the way that just the clean, like just regular black chart with red and green candles and VWAP on it, and that's it. I might even take VWAP off of it.
Yeah, this is one of the time frames I use in DOS, but he mentioned I don't know if Trade the Pool has volume profile. I hope they do. I think they do. I've never used it.
Hey, speaking of Trade the Pool though, anybody that's using it, me and Craig were talking about it, but ever since we asked the CEO guy, we told him how much we hated the level 2. They have started making it better.
Yeah, I was gonna do a video, try to like just showcase it one day to show the improvement or comparison versus DOS. It's still not as good as DOS, let's be real, but it's 1,000% better versus what it was. So kudos to them for at least trying. But anyway, that was my PRZO. And some people they get mad when you talk about stuff like this and edge dilution and things of that nature. We've said our piece on that before, and I'm not saying that's not a real thing in certain strategies. I do think it's valid, but anyway, I mean, I keep it pretty simple. Like volume in price, I don't use a lot of indicators. Relative volume is also volume. It's all just volume and price for me. So this is pretty simple. But anyway, that's my PRZO.
I liked it.
I have others. Do you have others?
Yeah. I had a couple pretty decent trades this week.
Oh yeah, show that one. That Vino?
Man.
Vino was.
Yeah, dude, this one worked out good. And this is an example of me being extra patient,
Which it is hard to be patient sometimes. Sometimes you're patient. Like what was it yesterday? VSME. I could be saying the ticker wrong. Try to be patient on that. That thing just. Anyway. This is good. Yeah, this is nice.
Let's see here. I'm trying to share something else. Won't it let me? Oh yeah.
Level 2 worked well this week on Trade the Pool. Yeah, they added. So it used to be the level 2 on Trade the Pool just showed like the current bid and the current ask and no depth below it. And I couldn't stand that. Now at least they've added depth. You know, in my opinion, it's still not as deep. It looks more like Thinkorswim's, like they have a certain tab where it shows like bars based on how much is at that bidder ask, you know, around the current bidder ask, if that makes any sense. But way better than what it was. So yes, big improvement. I still would love to see them get the halt bands in there. Then I'll be really happy.
So yeah, this is Vino.
Oh, look at this. I hate that for you. I really fucking
yeah.
Dude, I can't tell you how many. I don't have a lot of top tick entries. I have more top tick exits than I do top tick entries. So I feel your pain. I get it.
I had the same idea, but like, I don't know. I just didn't.
We talked about that a little bit in the room too. Like, you know, anytime I enter a trade or you enter a trade, we have a stop and we have a target pretty much already in mind from the time we enter.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes we take discretionary exits. And that's what I was talking about in the room today. Sometimes we take discretionary exits based on certain price level holds or certain levels that are holding, or, you know, maybe our thesis is it should break down past this by this time, and if it doesn't happen, we might prematurely exit. So, you know, that's where discretion comes into play. But,
this one would have been a sick one to swing too, man. This got down into the ones today. But on this, with the way it was acting, and I should have done the same thing with PRZO today. I shorted this the other day off of one of my Parascans, my low volume, low percentage Parascans that I trade. But this, I just really waited to see a big fail, and then I got in, and I was really just going to risk this to start curling back, and you know, curl back over that level right there.
I do always love how you wait for that big rejection and then enter on the way down.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to.
Underrated. It's just such an underrated skill, man. So many people want to catch the top, or I don't know. And it's all hindsight, right? Like this could have curled up and went higher, but at least you're waiting for that first big blow off and rejection.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If you were trying to catch the top and you see like this right here, you know. Hey. Lewis, what's up, dude? How you doing?
To be like you, Lewis.
Hell yeah. But I mean, I used to would be like entering on stuff like this. I'd be trying to enter like right here, and I'm like, oh, I caught the top, and then it rips again. Like this is what. So like this little like looks like it almost failed there, and kind of bounces is what I was going to risk happening here. You know, it fails, but it's a big fail. And then it kind of bounced on VWAP. And so I'm thinking, if it starts to do that, like make little lower highs, I'm just going to get out. And like, since I've got, you know, I can't risk that getting full size there. So, yeah, it just worked out good.
It did work out good. And then too, like right after you entered, yeah, literally, I think right after you entered, like the biggest, I always like to look at the biggest sell volume candles of the day, and like literally you entered right before those big sell candles came in.
Dude, that felt so good. That felt as good today as PRZO did after I got in, and it immediately did that big, like all the way down to $1 sell. But yeah, this one, it did that. And then I had my first target in mind to take half off. Held 2 pieces for the end of the day. Well, not the end of the day. It went quite lower, but I got all out there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite trade of the week. As far as like gappers like that go, I had one more. I guess I could show it too real quick if you want me to.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
This was like a para trade that I hit. The locates were a little more pricey, but sometimes that makes for the best trades. And I got in on this one after that, failed follow through, reject, whatever you want to call it. I'm getting in there, hammer in, start taking it off, get all out. And this one went way low.
Oh shit, this thing went red.
Yeah, it did. I mean, that's what I was trying to cover, like right there at like the red to green line, and then got all out there. That was pretty lucky.
Yeah, that's a good one. I saw in the chat that said that is his name, folks.
Yeah, man, that's legit. My first name is Sellers. I know, it's weird.
No, that's a good trade right there, though. That's a nice pair. That's a perfect pair. Like, that's picture perfect pair. I mean, shit, man.
It's a perfect pair, and that's exactly how I want to trade them.
Instant resolution.
I mean,
goes up, goes straight down. I mean, yeah.
Look at this time. I was in this, 15, maybe 20 minutes?
Yeah, maybe. It looks like you were in for like 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah. I think it was more like 10 minutes. Like, you do that, you hit it with enough size. You could make... that... And I think that was my only trade that day.
Shit, it probably would have been my only trade too after something like that.
That's exactly what I want, and that's
perfect.
Yeah.
All right, anyway. So you mentioned a swing. So this, I don't even know what day. Shit, I got to start keeping the days on my charts. Monday or Tuesday, I think. I'm pretty sure. This is damn near a top tick. I mean, can you see that?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's pretty damn close. Not as cool as it would have been pre-market, but whatever. I caught the first pop after open. I covered pretty quick because just like right in here, like it soaked 7 so hard. It did it here again. So I was like, I took some off, and then here it did it again. So I'm like, I'm done with this thing. It's kind of a lower volume thing. Wasn't a great setup anyway. A little more discretionary. The soaking of 7 was more of a discretionary exit, hence my early exit. But I kept some on for a swing, and I literally just put a stop on, break even. It never triggered my stop. Unfortunately, like a degenerate, I'm stuck at my screen pretty much this whole time or checking on my phone. So that sucked. But
I hate it when I have to do that.
I know. But this one was probably worth it because here's the swing.
Oh, yeah.
So this thing opened and just died. I wasn't paying it any attention. I'd have been all out, 100%. I'm paying attention like right in here, and I'm like, damn. So I'm thinking it's going to just curl up a bit and just fade back down. It didn't. It gets back up to VWAP. It gets back up to 1,200. I'm like, shit. I'm just going to let it ride. If it hits 7, I'll get out. It got close back down to the area, so I just covered. Unfortunately, and I know it's kind of hard to tell, this thing got pretty illiquid. Now, I didn't have massive size. I'm not going to sit here and say I had like 50,000 shares or anything crazy, but I had a hell of a time getting out. Even market. And then I get out a little bit, and then the price starts to then sometimes when things are illiquid, I know you've been in this situation too, you see your orders affect the level too. And I did get a little...
all the time on like those super low volume paras I trade, I'll move the price up when I cover.
Yeah,
and it ain't scared. Like I'm not covering 50,000 shares, but if I'm shorting something low priced and I've got like as I've told you before, I size in pretty big on my on some of my paraplays. If I take 10,000 shares and I've got out some, but then it's like I'm trying to get out all, and I'm hitting market orders for 2, 3, 4,000 shares. It'll move the price up,
So that's kind of what happened here. Now, this was one of the more illiquid plays I've been in a while. Day 2 play, not a lot of eyes on it, so this was pretty dry. I was able to get out before it really got ugly, and then of course this happened, but then it rebounded, and I think since then it's went higher. But I think actually today it got into like the 9s, like just massively ripped off. But anyway, that's things people don't talk about a lot, but you do got to be careful. This was pretty illiquid. I mean, there were times of the day where this thing was not doing anything.
That's funny. Hey, and it's not hard when something's super illiquid. I'm saying hard, that like it's badass. It's not hard to move the stock.
It's really not that. Yeah.
I've moved a stock with like 500 shares before.
Like that ticker throughout the day, there were times in 5-minute increments where it was trading less than 5,000 shares. So if you only have 1,000 shares, you're gonna move. It just, it's just all in. It's all relative, perspective, whatever. But yeah, you don't want to move stock.
I was about to say I don't want to move them.
Yeah. Barcode charts. Yeah, that's it can be bad. It's badass though. It's badass until it goes against you, and then you take a loss.
Yeah, when you're like, damn man, like let me take like 1,000 shares off, and then you're like, oh shit.
But I mean, I was sitting with an open market order on that for like 30 seconds or 20 seconds, and it just wouldn't execute.
I've had that happen many times.
I just wouldn't get filled, or I'd get filled for like 50 shares, and then it would just sit there, and then I'd get filled for 30, and then it would just sit there, and I'm like, come on, man. Like, I was getting pretty scared. It was not a comfortable couple minutes. Yeah.
I mean, so anyway, yeah, I guess it does sound kind of cool, but like, it ain't like me and Craig are like just banging like, tens of thousands of shares all the time. I mean, we trade decent size, but not.
That was just an illiquid ticker. Really?
Yeah, super illiquid.
Because at least when we're trading paras, yes, they're also illiquid, but in the moment we're trading them, that's when the liquidity is there. Like that ticker I just showed, like there was just nothing. I have one more I'm going to show. That is a loss. It doesn't look like a loss. I could say it's not a loss and people wouldn't know it's a loss.
Well, you better lie your ass off then, buddy.
I want to say this was Monday, 10/3. No, that would have been what? Tuesday. Would have been Tuesday, right? I think so. Anyway, this was a huge move. First of all, this thing went from 3 to almost 100%, and this was not even a
there too.
Yep, and this wasn't even a gapper. And I even said in the chat that typically I don't trade these type of stocks really well. I prefer the gappers, where people are bagged early type of thing. This thing wasn't a gapper. It was just a runner right from open. And I mean, this thing ran hard. You can see the volume coming in pretty huge. I took some right here, halt, resume. That's what this was. Halted here, resumed. I took some right about that 450 level. I think it was I don't have the daily or hourly or anything to reference. I feel like there was some sort of nice, I could be wrong about that. I feel like 455 had some reasons for me to want to get involved. Anyway, I added when it got 2.5 and then it ripped. It's hard to tell because it's getting cluttered with arrows. But this loss here is bigger than this gain here. And I love when everybody's like, oh, a couple paper cuts on the front end, made it all on the back end. Like, I believe about, I don't know. It doesn't matter what I believe. Point is, I lost on it. these aren't paper cuts on the front end. This was a bigger loss despite the candles being, or the entries being closer together than this. This is a beautiful top tick. If it had went down here, I'd have been in the green. I didn't add here. I almost did, but I didn't. And and the reason this isn't as big a win as this is loss is because I never did add, so I didn't have as much size, hence why I didn't have such an early cut. But anyway, I was pretty sized up right in here. Took a pretty hefty loss. Made some back. Still net red on the ticker. So this was not a paper cut on the front end. Made it all on the back end. No, this was a loss. And
don't you tell them that now. This was a huge win.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I could be like, feelers, starters, paper cuts, top tick. It didn't firm up enough for me to get out and whatever. I didn't get out right in here because I wasn't as sized as heavy, so I was okay with this. Almost added, which then it would have been a nice. I'd have been a little bit green on that. I didn't add. But it'd be like that sometimes. So that was a loss. CNXA. That was a crazy runner. But also, and I think I even put in our room that day, I was like, this is why I don't trade these type of just runners. It's like I need it to be a gapper, or at least like a day 2 or multi-day runner. Give me a first red day type of thing. But like these first day runners that don't gap, like I usually just don't trade them well. I don't know what it is, but it's like I just don't trade them. And I usually avoid them for that reason. I didn't avoid this one. Lost. I think I don't know. Monday and Tuesday, I traded a lot of tickers Monday and Tuesday because the action was pretty wild. But I came out okay on this day because of the other trades. But this good old loser. That's what that was. You got any more?
No, man, I don't.
I know. I think I got one more. I know you didn't trade as much as me. What do you mean these first day runners that don't gap? Let me put it back up. Kind of hard to see, but there's the previous day's close. This is the after hours and pre-market. This is this day's open. So there was no gap, right? It didn't close here and open up here.
When he says gap, he means like if you were to exclude what happened between yesterday's close and today's open, there would be a gap on the chart. There would be a gap. Like it would look like it just went from here to here instantaneously. Is that a good way to explain it?
Yeah, I'll show a chart that has examples of gaps, but yeah, so close here, open here, no gap, right? If it would have closed at $3.13, opened at $4.13, that'd have been a huge gap. That's a gap where I trade. That's what I call a gap where I trade those better. But let me show you. Let's see here. Let me show this chart just to give a better example of what I mean. So this is a hourly chart, right? So PRZO, for example, it closed this day around $1.20. It opened the next day at $1.60. You do the math on that from $1.20 to $1.60. I don't know. Let's just 40-50% gap, whatever. It created a gap, right, from the close to the open. But if you go this day here, closed here, opened here, no gap happened in those pre-market or after hours. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. That makes sense?
For it to be a gapper for us, it has to have happened between
pre-market and after hours.
Yeah, pre-market and after hours. It can't.
No, so that one didn't grind at all in pre-market. That CNXA had zero grind pre-market. It didn't start grinding until open.
I mean, it doesn't even matter if it grinds in pre-market. It could still be a gapper because it happened in pre-market.
Right. See, this one didn't do. The gray on my charts is your after hours and pre-market. So it did nothing in after hours pre-market. Then it opened pretty much right where it closed is where it opened, and then it starts doing something. So it didn't have a gap, and I typically don't trade stuff like that well. I don't know who you are. I feel like I know who you are. Are you Wealth Dean?
Yeah, it's Wealth Dean.
Is it okay? Hit me up on Discord. I can explain that more. No.
I mean, I don't know. Did it hit Parascans?
It could. Okay, yeah. So I said no. It wasn't a para. Yes. Okay. You and I are gonna talk more on Discord or something. I'll explain.
I mean, just think of it like
could have hit a
this.
para. You're right. Like CNXA could have went parabolic. It probably did because I hit the halt resume.
I mean, I think it was a para.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, that was a para. Yes, 100% was a para. Yes. So CNXA did make a parabolic move, which would explain why I took that trade. It was a little early. You and I are.
But it wasn't really the kind of para we want. Like,
yeah, we like the midday paras that just pop up out of nowhere. That thing kind of started grinding in the morning, kind of already started going up, and then it paired. And I prefer my pairs to happen my time between 10 and 2. You know, like a solid midday para out of nowhere. That thing didn't really fit that criteria for me verbatim. But, you know, Sellers is much better at hitting like the morning para moves in that first hour than I will ever be.
I was trying to scroll back through some old charts, like.
Yeah. So I prefer the midday pairs. Sellers is better at those morning pairs. I took, CNXA. I'll pull up CNXA again. Wasn't ALXO after hours though? Or no?
It was like a 2 p.m. para.
Yeah, okay.
But it was huge, man. It was a para, but
I'm glad I covered my swing. Pairs that come out of nowhere without grinding first. Yes, for me that's preferred. Obviously, I still took CNXA and took a loss on it.
I've got some pictures of some pairs. I just did I won't say what it is. I did a little we'll call it a demonstration for somebody. Okay, like I'm just gonna share some of this and I'll show you what I mean, what pairs look like to me.
Like we have scans that we use specifically for pairs, and
Here's
that's what
a para.
talk about trade ideas. Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Perfect. Like nothing pre-market. No volume here. No volume. A little bit of volume. This isn't even hitting my scans. Halts up. Hits my halt scan. Not my para yet. And then I believe in here it did hit my para scan, but I've told you this too before. That I'm talking to AJ or Wealth Dean, whatever we're calling him right now. That I just and that's what I was gonna say too. Is I just saw this message because your name's AJ in the server. But yeah, I mean, so like this is a para, and this is what I want him to do. A halt's great,
Halt is great. Gives you time to get locates. Gives you time to look at that's why we have a halt scan. Because if we have something hit our para scan and a halt scan, dude, we got a solid 5 minutes to get locate, to look at the daily, to look at the hourly. Like it gives us time to really like make.
And I'll hit them late day too. This is from earlier this year.
I remember that one.
Yeah, that one was sick. That doesn't happen often. I want to say they like offered right at the end of the day. It was something crazy.
They probably did.
This is a para. It was out of nowhere. I hit it after the reject. I got out because that's right at the red to green. Well, then it grinded back up, thankfully. This was kind of a para double top level thing. Jan, if Jan ever does a para, I always short Jan. Jan is a known fader. Saw the follow through here, big wick, hammer in. It's not on SSR. I'm getting out all out there. That was lucky. That's the 1-200. This was a good para. Out of nowhere para. I got all my size. I start getting out here. Holds lower highs over the 1 minute 200. I take some off here towards the end of the day. Well, it rips later on, but I'm all out.
I remember this one.
Yep.
I remember this one well.
Yep. I mean, that was super low. Look at how low volume that is. And then just all of a sudden volume. That's exactly what you want it to look like. I didn't do as good on this one. I don't know why.
People talk about like, oh my God, it only traded, in that little instance, a couple 100,000 shares, which 100% is super low volume for the stock market world. But if you're only trading 1,000 shares on that, you're going to be fine as far as getting executed.
This is an older one because you can still see I had the Heikinashi.
I was going to say you got them,
them HAs, but like that's how I want to hit them too. Sometimes I'm a little late, but I mean, I'd rather be shorting it here than shorting it there. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I'd rather be late than early.
Yeah, you're way better off getting in here than there.
I'd rather be late than early. I'd rather wish I was in than wasn't. All those anecdotes.
This was another good one. Super, pretty low volume, kind of popped up. And I mean, this hit my lowest percentage para scan.
And if you notice, all his paras, right, like these that he's showing, it's like they're instant resolution for the most part. Whereas that CNXA chart I showed, one was not instant resolution. It held around VWAP and starts curling. That's why we like the instant resolution. Like those are the A+. That within 10 minutes your trade's done.
Oh, hey. Well, all right, AJ, man. Have a good one. Be careful.
Don't get kicked out of the library permanently. You better listen to them,
That's
folks.
right. But yeah, I figured I'd show some of that. I made this little file for just some para stuff I like to show. It's just a couple of things from this computer.
No, that's good. And just, again, to show the difference, the contrast, whatever. Now, I don't have VWAP and all that on this chart.
I'm going to take mine off of my Twitter charts too. That's clean though.
Well, and like I do know, I remember talking about it in the room. VWAP was, I think, right around this level here. So when it held VWAP, that was a huge, red flag. I mean, ideally on a pair, you want it to be up and down pretty damn quick. And this one didn't go down. This had a lower volume pullback, held that VWAP, and then ripped base again. And then, it finally breaks down, broke through VWAP and whatever, but still took a loss. But
man, that's all I got for today. I was gonna see if anybody had any questions or anything, or if you had anything else.
I mean, I have other chart. I got I traded a bunch of stuff this week, Monday and Tuesday, because the market was hot. Wednesday I took off. Thursday, Friday, the market. I don't know that I traded on Thursday. I could be wrong. If I did, it was like one trade. Today, one trade. I got one swing going. Thursday, Friday, I didn't have much going. I'll show one. I have one trade the pool chart. I'm trying to trade that more. I'm just not very good at trading that.
And dude, I've in less than 4 weeks, we're having our baby. And so I'll probably trade a little bit off my laptop in the hospital if my wife doesn't kill me.
She'll kill you. Don't do that. Kill you.
But I mean, I'm going to try to keep up with everything. But
this is my little.
She's going to kill me tonight if we stay here too long. I know that because she wants to go eat Mexican.
Oh, we went to we ate Mexican last night. All right, I'm gonna show one little trade to pool, then we're gonna wrap it. This is about on trade pre-market, right? Entered out, And I usually have to take my kid to the bus right at about this time, which is why I got out, which is also why I don't trade pre-market, because I gotta take my kid to the bus. This was a pretty nice gapper. I mean, I know you can't see the stuff before, but you can see the previous close. Like the previous close was a 360. This thing opened up 100%. The odds of a gapper up 100% holding that gain is minimal. Like, so I open print Boyd this thing basically. I waited for the first red candle and then I hit it. Unfortunately, I got a shitty fill, but I hit it. And then literally I was risking the top of this candle. My risk was like 702 or something like that. But anyway, I mean, it worked out. Took my covers off. I think it ended up going lower. I covered a little too soon, but that's because I was a little oversized. Anyway, that's the only trade the pool chart I have. I'm bad about capturing trade the pool charts because if you take the trade, I don't sit here all day. Sometimes I do, but lately I have not. This whole week I did not. I had a ton of shit to do.
I'll leave my computer on all day, but like
I will
sometimes
too.
it'll just randomly like cut out.
Well, I'll leave my computer on, but I'll shut down all my software. I'll shut down my scanners, I don't know. I just this is what I do. I don't know why. But I shut down trade the pool and then the executions are gone. So we're still working, or they're still, I shouldn't say we mentioned them making it to where the executions stay. They said they're working on it. Said they were working on the level 2. They buffed that significantly. So I have to assume the execution portion.
Yeah, I mean that's what we appreciate about those guys is like I've had a few people that have signed up and are checking it out and enjoying it so far. That everybody has some complaints, especially if you've used DOS. I mean, there's just nothing better. But man,
Cobra has better fills. It's just it.
Yeah,
you gotta. I mean, if you want to trade with Cobra, you gotta have 30K sitting in an account ready to go.
Exactly.
Like it's just not.
I mean, I'd like to have 2 accounts, like an account with Cobra and
Guardian. I'd love to have a Cobra and a Guardian.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'd like to have Cobra and Guardian or Centerpoint, but I just, man, like to take that much cap. I mean, it's I've already got a decent amount of capital in my Cobra account. If I was to do that, it would just be. It's a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like for me, at least.
No, I mean. That's what we try to preach. Like we try to keep things realistic. Like sometimes on Twitter you'll see people making $30,000 in a day and losing 50K the next. And they're like, slow day, whatever. Like we try to keep things a little more realistic for regular folk, I guess. We're just a couple old good old boys just trying to make it.
That's right.
This weekend I do have not this weekend because I can't show level 2 this weekend because there's no trading over the weekend. So next week I am going to screen record some level 2 action from Trade the Pool and upload like a quick 30-second minute video, whatever, just showing the difference because it's a huge improvement. If you're familiar with the Thinkorswim market depth level 2 that shows bars based around a price, that'll make sense. If not, either way, I'm gonna show a video next week. Huge improvement though. I didn't notice any lag, but it's only been a day that I've noticed it, so I'm going off of one day. But huge improvement thus far.
Yeah, I agree. I noticed it today, and I was like, "Hey,
dude!" I put in the chat. I was like, "Did y'all see the level 2? 100% better." Anyway, I know y'all trying to go eat Mexican. I probably should feed my people too because if I don't, they're gonna get angry.
Hey, man.
Yeah, man, right direction for sure. They're trying. Like I don't have any complaints. My only complaint is I would love to see them get the halt bands into the level 2. I've said that before. The executions, we've said that before. My only real other complaint, and it's just a personal complaint. It's not valid for everyone. I hate that like the ticker, if you're in a trade, I don't know how to word it other than depending on what package you pick, but basically the risk management piece, it's pretty tight, which isn't a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing.
They're like super into risk management.
Yeah, and that's all. It's good. Like it is good, but we have been trading a while, and to be honest, like if we have taken a fake breakout style move or a pair move, and we're down in a position $500-600 in a matter of seconds, but we expect that based on the type of thing we're trading, like we're okay with that. But with Trade the Pool, that you can't do that. So we have to adjust our style a bit to fit that risk management that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I got a pretty decently deep fade off of like my $1.20 something average on SPRO on Trade the Pool. I mean, I got out at like 99 cents or something, and you know, I made like $600 something, you know, and which is good.
Yeah, and for the
trade.
record, like I don't think most people, especially when you're starting to trade, should be okay with being down. Oh, I'm down $600-800 in a few seconds. Cool. Like, no, I don't think that's okay. Like, I don't think that's okay. We just fake breakouts and parabolic moves, like those happen so fast, and sometimes, you know, the way we're sized and whatever, like we're okay with that because we see the end result enough times to.
I mean, there's been times I might even see, you know, I'm down $1,000 for a little bit. Like, I know I'm not going to be down $1,000, but then sometimes you do. That's why you got the max loss in there.
Yeah. It's just it comes with screen time and experience, and I don't know, taking the pain on numerous occasions. But anyway, we just have to adjust our style a bit on Trade the Pool. That's not relative for everybody. Some guys on Trade the Pool are trading like 100 shares at a time or 500. And they'll never be down 200 in a matter of seconds, and that won't happen to them. So, like,
like Brady,
relevant for everybody.
Brady like planned out his size for it and is just straight killing it.
Which is, that's how you should. Good for Brady. Brady should fucking teach me how to trade on Trade the Pool, because that's how you should do it. I position size like a champ on my Cobra account, like to the T. I'll round up like within 100. But on Trade the Pool, you know how many times I've used the position share calculator?
Only time I've done it is I did it today, and I did it the other day. But then there was another day where I took like massive size, and I had like that big old, like, I don't remember what size when it was, but it was.
I remember the long.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah, I tried to take a massive size short, and within 2 seconds I was taken out because it wicked up just enough to, you know, trigger that max ticker loss or whatever within literally 2 seconds. And I say max size or mass size, it was mass size, you know, for like Trade the Pool, Cobra, like I've been whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Sizes are relative, P&Ls are relative. That doesn't matter. Just focus on your shit. But anyway, we're over an hour. You got to eat. I got to feed my people. It's Friday. Y'all got stuff you want to do. You got to keep your wife happy. I'm good. Right. We're good. You good?
Yeah, man. I'm great.
All right, y'all. Well, per usual, appreciate y'all. The comments, the likes, the shares, the subscribes, etc. All the things YouTube people say. I don't know. We'll do this again next week. We're gonna try to keep on the live thing. We're gonna try to do more of those quick recaps too, because I think those are great. Like the one we did this last week or whatever.
Yeah, we're going to do a lot more of those. I hope, let us know if y'all like those.
Like one ticker, 10 minutes or less, and just boom, boom, bang it out, done. So anyway.
Lewis, man, thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
All right, brother. Well, y'all have a good Friday. Everybody have a good Friday. And until the next one, peace.
Peace.